Hi everyone, welcome to the American Computer Enthusiast Show. My name's Steve Reeves and I'll be your host tonight. We've got a great show. We've got Bill Wyatt from IBM. We're going to be taking a look at the brand new IBM OS 2 Warp, hot off the presses. It'll be a great show, so stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Access Houston can teach you the ancient art of television production. Learn the camera technique, the audio technique, and the basics for recording and editing. If you wish to follow the path of television production and create television programs to be seen on the public access channel, call 524-7700. Remember, 524-7700. Call now and become a master of television production.
You're watching the Public Access Channel, a service of Access Houston Cable, where you make television happen.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. In case you just tuned in, this is the American Computer Enthusiast Show. My name's Steve Reeves, and we've got a great show. I say that a lot. We really do have a great show tonight. We've got Bill Wyatt from IBM, and we're going to be taking a look at the brand new IBM OS 2 Warp, hot off the presses. I mean, they're selling it right now. You can buy it right now, can't you? It's getting around. It's getting in the stores right now.
You might be able to buy it right now. It is actually selling so well that the stores are having a hard time keeping it stocked.
Right. I know we just got a few of them at work. Everybody's ordering it, and it's commercials on TV, all kinds of great things.
We're real happy about it right now.
All right. I guess what I ought to do before we start talking, wasn't even thinking there, is introduce Bill. His title is actually Program Manager for Corporate Users Groups. And why don't you tell us just a little bit about yourself, how long you've been at IBM, and what exactly that's the longest title. Does it fit on your business card?
Actually, I could expand it a little bit. It's Personal Software Products, which is the IBM division that makes OS 2 and our DOS products and our LAN server products. But I've been with IBM for 16 years. I started with IBM as a performance analyst on the Space Shuttle operating system. We'd go out and we'd cut wires and do things like that electronically to try and make the shuttle crash. And by doing that, we'd test the software out and really run it through the ropes.
That's pretty neat. And how long you've been there for? How long?
16 years.
16 years.
Right.
That's not. There's a lot of people stay at IBM for a long time. I guess it must be there's a reason that people stay there for forever. It's a lot of fun stuff going on and new things coming out and everything.
IBM's a good place to work, and I've had an opportunity throughout my career to try new and different things all the time. So it's always challenging.
All right. One thing I want to say before we go any further, two things actually. We've always been live for the last 5 or 6 years, but right now at the beginning of the season, this is the second show of our new season. We're not live, we're going to be taped. We're going to be on Monday nights. This is actually Monday, but we'll be repeated throughout the week, different times. But there's two different ways you can get a hold of us. If you want to leave messages on what you'd like to see on future shows, questions you might have about topics that we've talked about the week before, what you'd like, just any kind of topic. If you have any kind of PC question, hardware, software, anything, soundboards, the whole 9 yards, you can leave a message on our ACE hotline, the American Computer Enthusiast hotline, and we'll have a slide that comes up, but the phone number is 587-5369, 587-5369, or you can actually get us by email, and our email address is ace@macaw.com. I think we have a slide that'll come up. It might be up now for all I know, but it will be on, it is up there right now. Great, okay. And it'll come up at the end of the show also, or during the show, so people can write it down. But the email address is ace@macaw.com, and the hotline is 587-5369. And actually, after last week's show, I checked the messages the next day, and we had 11 messages in one day. So there's a lot of people that must be watching, and a lot of people that want to see a lot of different things on the shows. And people actually did leave messages. And anyone that left a phone number and wants us to call us back, we'll get back to you if you have any kind of wild question or something like that. So don't worry, we'll get back to everybody. And James DiMaggio, he's one of our other hosts. He's actually at Comdex, and he's in charge of the email on Comdex, on internet. And did I say that wrong before? Did I say internet? It's internet. So I don't know if he's checking the messages or not. So he'll be on the next show. By the way, next week's show is on Comdex. What's new and fun at Comdex? And they'll be like hot off the plane, and we'll be doing the show. So I guess we had to do. That's all our little messages and things. We wanted to take care of all the housekeeping. What we need to do right off the bat is talk about what is OS2. What is OS2?
Good question. As you know, the computer industry really got a big start back in 1981 with DOS when IBM announced the IBM PC. And DOS back at that time was a very small operating system. The largest disk that you had on a machine was under 200K. I mean, just very, very small. 120K was the size of the disk. Hard disks weren't even thought of for personal computers. There was no color graphics. There was nothing like that. Well, as the years went on, about 1985, 1986, IBM and Microsoft got together and decided that DOS was just not going to make it for the future. So we began planning a new operating system, which we announced in 1987, April 1987, called OS2. Back in those days, we were at the 286 stage of the computer industry. The 386 had not quite come out yet, or was just in the process of coming out. And so we wanted this operating system to operate on both the 286 and the 386, and that imposed some technical constraints on us. Well, we got OS2 ready. We went through version 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, and during that time, OS2 was a fairly costly operating system in terms of memory constraints. And that happened at the same time that the industry was in a real memory crunch. It was just hard to get chips. So that slowed the growth of OS2. In about 1991, we announced OS2 2.0, which was the first 32-bit operating system out there in the marketplace besides the Unix, the first mass market operating system out there.
That normal people could use.
That normal people could use, that's right. And OS2 2.0 caught on, gave way to 2.1, and now we're at OS2 Warp, which is actually OS2 version 3.0. Now, OS2 is an operating system that runs the things on your computers. It controls all your devices. It runs your programs. We learned back in the old days, the 1.x version of OS2, that you really had to maintain compatibility with DOS. And you had to maintain compatibility with Windows. And we learned that lesson well, and we brought that forward into OS2 2.0 and 2.1 and now in Warp. And we gave the world a much better way to use the computer. If you want to look at the screen here, everything on the OS2 screen is an object. Just like on this desk, that box is an object, the display is an object, this recorder is an object, the book is an object. And as you look at the desktop here on the screen, it's a metaphor just like that.
This is my ET pointer here.
Your ET pointer.
ET.
You have manila folders. We have printers on the desk. You have a bookshelf, just exactly like that hard copy bookshelf. And you look at that and you say, well, that's nice, but I don't see how to use it. Well, we did thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of usability studies on this. And people who are new to OS2 take to it very well, very easily. People who are unused to a graphical user interface. Those people who were on OS2 1.3 or earlier and who are used to Windows 3.1 have a little bit harder time getting used to it because it's different.
Right.
It's a lot different. But the way this thing works is you use both buttons on your mouse. You point at an object and you click on it with the left mouse button to select it. You notice how it grays out when I select something.
Right.
And that still doesn't tell you what you can do with this system. So what you do to ask the system, what can I do with you, is you point to something and you click with the right mouse button. And it tells you, a menu pops up, a context menu pops up and says, oh, you can do all these things. You can copy it or move it or create a shadow or do all sorts of things. And if I open this printer, it would be just a little bit different. For instance, I have change status and I can hold or release the printer. Okay? The information is a little bit different as well. Now, double-clicking on something causes that folder to open.
Right.
Okay? So I can see what's inside that folder. And you're very used to the concept of a folder from your desktop. Your disk space is organized in a totally different way, though, but you think as a folder as a directory on your disk. Or if you put a folder inside of a folder, you create a subdirectory on that disk. Inside this folder, we have a lot of other objects. Perhaps the first thing that you would see when you come up with OS/2 is the tutorial. And the tutorial is very powerful, very good, very friendly. It helps you get used to the things, and it gives you a little sandbox where you can try them out. It also gives you pointers on, if you're a Windows user, it tells you how you might approach OS/2 from this perspective of this is how I do it in Windows, how do I do it in OS/2.
Well, that's good.
And all through this system, it's a drag and drop concept. It's very easy to manipulate these objects, and you do it directly. Now, what we see in this thing is a bunch of books. Now, you've got some books there that come with OS/2 Warp, but actually, in the OS/2 package, there is a tremendous amount of documentation online. For instance, if I look at this command reference book and I double-click on it to bring it open, you see a book metaphor, and you see these pluses. This is the table of contents. And if I click on this last one, plus OS/2 commands by name, I get a list of all the commands in the system. And it's kind of intuitive to see how you manipulate this thing. If you grab this and drag it down, you get to scroll through that list. If you click, single click, you can scroll through. Now, here's a format command. If I double click on that, it takes me directly to how I use the format command. This book is hypertext. If you double click anywhere on the blue text, it opens up another window.
So it's a totally online manual.
It's a totally online manual. But for the first time, manuals are much more powerful than they ever have been in books, because you have this capability called search.
Right.
And I don't know if you've ever done programming, but the way I program, I put a manual here, and I read it, and it says, well, see this other manual. And so I put my finger in there, and I get out my other manual, and I have manuals all over my desk by the time things are finished. This makes it so easy to use and get to. You search for a topic, memory. Look for the word memory. And there are all the places that the word memory is mentioned. If you double-click on any of them, you'll see memory in red.
It's highlighted.
It's highlighted. OS/2 also has help anywhere throughout the system. If you were in one of these things, let's get into the tutorial real quick. If you were in the tutorial and you pressed F1, it's going to pop up help for you. As I scroll around here,
Oh, it tells you exactly on the bottom.
it's going to change that menu. Every time I move the mouse pointer, it's going to tell me what the new place is. And as we go through the tutorial, which I don't think we'll do tonight, but if we were to do it, it gives you a place to practice and escape to OS/2 and Windows, things like that.
It's great.
Now, to close this window, you just double-click in the upper left-hand corner.
All right.
Now, this object that I'm pointing to now is the desktop, but it is also an object. If I click with the right mouse button, there's a menu of things that I can do with the desktop. For instance, I can shut down, or I can bring up a menu of system setup tools, and let's just do that now, because I want to show you the drag-drop capabilities within OS/2.
All right.
You see this little thing that says solid color palette? If I bring it up and I drag one of these colors, it looks like a bucket of paint, right? Well, you can do your best damage here. You can just drop this bucket of paint on various areas. Let's not use that one. Let's do that one.
Ooh.
And you get lovely colors. Did we just wipe the cameras out there? So you can just play with different colors. I like to do this one. Then what happened to your icon text?
Right.
And you just hold down Control and drag it over there. You can do the same thing with this this font palette if you want to. You can change fonts, but you can also change whole sets of things. And if we were to go out here and drop this cool water on there, then we would change our background throughout the system.
All right.
Drag it on that one. So that's the drag and drop concept within
So it
OS2.
comes with a bunch of preset
Yes, it does.
screens and things like
And
that.
those OS2 2.0 and 2.1 users will have noticed that we have a lot more schemes out there
Right.
that you can change. Now, if you don't like that particular background, what you can do is you can bring up the settings for this thing, and you can change the background so that what you get is...
I was going to say it looks like a pool, and that's what it's called.
It is a pool. It's cool waters. You can change it to a rainforest or a pine forest. I like this one. That one looks pretty good, although it's a little bit washed out in this color. But you can also do other things like bring in paintings.
It's my sister.
That's your sister.
Oh, yeah.
Normal image. Now, let me tell you about that one, because we also have some neat things built into OS2. This is an incredible package, and OS2 has always been a really good package. In fact, we have a tremendous number of enthusiasts out there. As a matter of fact, you mentioned Comdex.
Right.
Comdex is going on today as we speak, or last week actually, and a lot of OS2 enthusiasts have gone out to Comdex, and they're going through the Comdex exhibition area helping people install OS2. I mean, if you were a vendor out there and you didn't have OS2, they'd say, hey, would you like to have OS2? And they would go out and install it on your machine for it, tune it, get your application running on it. And we have over 100 volunteers, and only about 15 of those are IBMers. Most of them are non-IBMers. They go there at their own expense to get to Comdex, and they do this because they like OS2 and they have a good time doing it.
Warp nerds, I guess.
Warp nerds, yeah.
That's great.
So let's change this back to our cool waters. By the way, the place that I got this bitmap is through our internet connection out there, built into Warp, and I'm not sure I can show it to you today because of the phone connection here, but I need to do one more thing.
You need to tile it or something?
I need to tile it. That's
Right.
right. Make it everywhere. Close that.
I like that background there.
Good soothing background. If you spend lots of hours in front of the computer, it works good. So that's basically OS2. Now, if you already have DOS on your system and you already have Windows on your system, that's fine. OS2 goes in and it lays down right on top of DOS and Windows, and it does something that we call dual boot. You may have heard of the product OS2 for Windows.
Right.
OS2 Warp is a replacement for that product. Basically, it's a new code base. It's designed to install on systems with 4 meg of memory.
Well, that's pretty good.
That's very small. And that was our design point, and we have met that. And you can actually run programs, 2 or 3 programs at the same time, if you've got a machine with just 4 meg.
Yeah, because I notice a lot of people, well, if you look at it, just about every computer store that's in Houston, everywhere from, Best Buy and all these places, they're selling everything with 4 megabytes. And a lot of people don't realize that that's usually not enough for most applications, but this will run on with 4 megs.
It will run with 4 meg. Now,
You probably recommend more if possible.
Well, everything is trade-offs. As I mentioned, my background in IBM was to start as a performance analyst, and performance tuning is always the search for the next bottleneck.
Right.
Okay. If you add more memory, then your disk will be too slow, and not because it's gotten slower, but because you've tuned the memory, and now the next slowest thing in your system begins to show up, and that might be your disk, or it might be your processor, or it might be something else. So there's always trade-offs. But a few weeks ago in San Antonio, I heard this story from a friend of mine saying he had gone into a customer shop, and this customer was showing him Warp, and the customer told him it was on a 4 meg machine, and he couldn't believe it. He said he didn't want to say anything. But the customer swore that it was running on 4 meg. Well, it turned out that it was running on 4 meg, but it was a 100 megahertz 486 processor. So that processor was really fast, and it made up for the smaller memory environment.
All right. We're going to have to take a quick break here, all right? I want to make sure everybody stays tuned. We'll be back with Bill, Wyatt, and me, Steve Reeves, and we'll be taking a look at Warp. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
How many seasons you dreamt of them as champions. How many years you anticipated their big day. So many precious moments we want to hold on to. If only it weren't such a hassle. There is an alternative. Why not sit back, relax, and let Access Houston videotape your next event? With state-of-the-art equipment and complete mobile and post-production facilities, Access Houston's experienced professionals have the know-how to get the job done. From athletics to the arts, science to politics, Access Houston is ready to roll on your next event. For more information or to schedule a taping, call Access Houston at 524-7700. That's 524-7700. Access Houston, where you make television happen.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. In case you just tuned in, this is the American Computer Enthusiast Show. My name's Steve Reeves and I'm your host tonight. And we've got a great show. We're showing IBM OS2 Warp, and our guest is Bill Wyatt from IBM. And here's a box. This is what you need to be looking for at the store when you want to buy it. It says OS2 Warp. Pretty nice, huh? So that's what you need to buy right there. I'm moving this over here, camera guy. All right. One thing I do want to mention, again, I like to mention this as much as possible. We do have a hotline, and you can leave messages, what you'd like to see in future shows, questions, what you want us to talk about, all kinds of things. Towards the end of the show, I'll go through some of the questions and some of the things that people want to see on future shows from the phone calls we've already got. The phone number is 587-5369, 587-5369. And our email address, in case you want to leave us a message or anything else, is ace@macaw.com. And we'll be checking that all the time and you know, writing back to you if you leave your address or whatever. We'll just be, you know, answering things on the air every week. We'll take a little section of each show and answer questions from the week before or whatever anybody wants to know. Well, computer questions, that is. You know, not personal questions or anything like that. So I guess what I'm going to do is reintroduce Bill Wyatt and continue talking about OS2.
Okay. Well, before the break, you asked me a question about memory requirements and going into the stores and 4 meg. Well, OS2 runs in 4 meg. But as I go out to the various conferences with my job, I give lots of presentations, and I always ask the question to find out what the customers are buying. And I poll the audience, and almost nobody is buying 4 meg systems anymore in the corporate environment. They start at 8 meg. The majority of them are buying 16 meg. There are some 12 meg, some 32 meg, but the majority is 16 megs, and they're all buying 486 systems, and nobody is buying under 300 meg hard drives in that environment.
Yeah, you get a lot of this multimedia stuff and graphics things. There's, you know, 4 megs is nowhere close. You need 16, 32, or above, actually.
Well, now on this system, this is a little bit older system. It's a 33 megahertz 486. I do have 16 meg on the system. Right. And I'm running 256 color XGA.
All right.
A 640 by 480 resolution though, so it's not a.
But this resolution looks great on TV.
That's why I throttled it down to that resolution.
Yeah, because everybody can still read what's going on. If we had it 1024 by 768 or something,
it'd be too small.
We'd have to be telling everybody what we're pointing to here.
Be too small.
All right.
Now, you ask what's new in OS2 Warp. The first thing is that it really does run in 4 meg, and it runs pretty well in 4 meg. The next thing is we have added lots and lots and lots of tools to OS2 Warp. It's called the bonus pack. You see there the sign that says bonus pack, the little flyer on there. Good ad.
Well prepared here, right?
Well prepared. Let me show you some of those things and show you how different it is. By the way, the price of OS2 Warp is just a steal. It's always been a good price because you've got memory management. You can get away from the memory problems you had in DOS. I've got customers, by the way, who buy OS2 not to run any OS2 apps, not to run Windows apps, strictly to get away from memory constraints to run a single DOS application that they couldn't do any other way.
Do you have to have DOS already, or is it included in this?
DOS is included. You do not have to have it already, but this product, again, was designed to go on top of a system that already had DOS and Windows. If you don't want to run Windows programs, then you don't have to have anything on your system.
Okay.
You can go in and lay it down on a totally fresh system.
Yeah, because I was wondering if you already had something, you don't have to reformat your hard drive and start all over. It's
Nope.
not like that.
Nope, it goes right on top, and it does something called dual boot. It sets up dual boot. Once you install OS2 Warp on top of your system, it'll come up and it'll look very similar to this every time you bring it up. However, if you decide that you want to go back to the DOS Windows environment for any reason, now probably 98% of your applications, your DOS Windows applications out there in the world today will run under OS2 Warp, and they'll run very well. In fact, most of them run better than they do in the old environment, especially the DOS applications. But if for some reason you want to go back to the Windows environment, the straight DOS Windows environment, you just open up a full screen and you say boot DOS, and it goes back to the DOS
Just
environment.
reboots the system.
Reboots back to that environment.
Great.
Now let's show you something that's new. Just a little tool that you as a support person can use to help yourself in the environment. The System Information tool, as I double click on that, it's going to go off and it's going to gather some information about the system. What it's going to do is it's going to go look at every piece of this system. How many times do you come across somebody that you're trying to help and you say, well, what type of disk do you have, or how much memory do you have, or what size processor do you have,
Right.
and they don't know? Well, this is the way that you find out what they have in that system. For instance, if you wanted to look at the video subsystem information, you just double click on this bullet and it says primary video adapter, XGA. And it says what the current screen resolution is. And if you want to go in and look at detailed information, it goes in and tells you all the bits and bytes and feeds and speeds and everything like that that a support person
Nerd
might
stuff.
need to ask. Nerd stuff.
Right.
Good nerd stuff. Can I close that off? Adapter information. We used this just quite by accident at the last conference I was at. We were setting up a new lab, and we had installed a device driver for this thing, and we knew that we had Token Ring in it, so we installed that device driver, and it wouldn't come up, and it wouldn't come up. So we looked, and we brought this thing up, and it was a Token Ring Busmaster adapter.
Oh.
So we had installed the wrong device drivers. This was very, very helpful, even for somebody who's in the business and presumably knows what they're doing. So this is the System Information tool, and it tells you a lot about the system.
That's pretty neat.
Let's close this tool and look at something else that you see that's new out there. We call this our launch pad. Now, remember I told you that on the desktop you can bring this thing up and you can see how it'll lock the
Right.
system up. And by the way, that's a screensaver and a security mechanism as well. Or shut down the system, and you should always shut down an OS2 system. But we decided that there was an easier way. And so we added this thing called the launch pad. And if you wanted to shut down, you merely click on this button. If you want to get a window list of those things that are currently running in the system, the old way, and the way I still use a lot, is to hit Control and press Escape, and you get the window list
You can
up.
still do that.
You can still do that, sure. Everything is brought forward. But you can also click on this window list and get it up very easily. Now, a lot of people out there still are partial to a command line, right? They still like to use their C prompt, their lovely C prompt. And the place that we have our command prompts is out in this OS2 system folder. And there's a folder called command prompts. You bring that up, and there are your command prompts. And there you can bring up an OS2 window. Now, the old way that you could make that easy in OS2 was to bring up the settings. Let's close this one, by the way. Bring up the settings, and we want to modify the menu. Notice if I bring up the menu from the desktop, this is what it looks like.
Right.
What I might want to do is add an OS2 window out here. So you drag that, and now your OS2 window is out there.
So it really is dragging. That's pretty neat.
Drag and drop. Very, very easy to use. But we decided that even that was a little harder than we wanted for people to have to do to get to something. So what we did is we put this OS2 window icon out here in the Launchpad, and just clicking that brings up a window
that's
very, very rapidly. Let me push this.
You don't know how many times I've gone through 27 different menus to get just to a DOS. Well, usually I drag it off and put it on the desktop, but
and then your desktop becomes very cluttered, right? So you need a way to organize things, and that's what we've done. By the way, let's go back to this command prompts folder, and let's say that we'd like to modify this. This thing here, you'll notice that some of those have a little knob on them. See that little knob? These are called drawers.
Great pointer, huh?
Great pointer.
Yeah.
Can you shorten it a little?
Yeah.
If it doesn't have a knob, if a drawer doesn't have a knob, that means there's nothing in it.
All right.
But if there's something in it and you click on it, then you can see that you have a DOS prompt there, a DOS window. Well, what if I wanted to add an OS2 full screen and a DOS full screen? I could drag those down and I could drop them, and you see the highlighted area? I'm dragging them and dropping them in the drawer, and now that's modified that. So that's all it takes to get a new thing out there on your Launchpad.
That's pretty neat.
It's very, very easy to use. Here's the tutorial. I've got the system folder in there, and here's our old friend, the shredder. By the way, let's use the shredder. I've got some clutter out there. We talked about getting things on our desk. I've got this find results, and I'd like to drop that out there, but wait, I've got two of them, so let me just highlight both of those and drag the two of them together. And when you drag something in OS2, you usually do it by holding down the right mouse button. It's always consistent throughout OS2. And I don't like confirmations. I think I know what I'm doing, and of course, anybody watching this show who knows me from 20 years ago and knows how primitive the tools were and how sometimes I'd plow ahead not asking for confirmations, you can get in trouble doing that. But anyway, that's how you modify the Launchpad. But there's something else you might want to do with the Launchpad. You notice that you look at these and you don't know what they are, right?
Right.
Well, maybe we want to add the text to them. So let's open the settings for the Launchpad. And here's the things we can change. We can close the drawer after each object's opened. We can display it vertically. And there it is. We can float it on top so that no matter what's there, it will be on top. Okay? We can also display the text on the Launchpad so that you see, let's move this out of the way, you see Drive A and OS2 window. And of course, they get a little bit bigger because of that.
But that might be a good way to start off, and when you get used to it, you can get rid of the text.
Absolutely right. That's a good way to do it. And you'll notice that the text is not there on the drawers unless you click this one, and then you see it in both places.
Mega icons there.
Mega icons, that's right. I like to keep it small. Oh, and there's one other thing I could do. If I go to the next page of this, I could make these icons mini icons. So I see a lockup.
Mini icons as opposed to mega icons.
That's right.
Or as we say in Texas, big ol' icons.
Big ol' icons. Now the other thing that you might want to do is if multiple people in your family are using this system, you might want to have a customized Launchpad for each one of them. So you'd simply copy the Launchpad, and you do that by picking an area there and saying copy. Okay? And it'll copy it. And then you can just customize it for that member of your family. By the way, you want to take this off of the menu, you just drag it and drop it on the shredder.
That's great.
Okay? Now, I'll warn you in advance that people at your work are going to go around doing this. They're going to point at the shredder, and they're going to drag it, and they're going to drop it on the shredder, and they're going to get rid of your shredder. So you got to watch that. Let's add 2 shredders out there.
All right.
Then we can get rid of that one.
You give me forewarning there?
Forewarning.
All right.
I mean, people like to get rid of shredders at businesses.
All right.
Now, let's look at what else is in OS2 and the bonus pack.
What about games?
Games.
Any new games?
I've got a folder here called Strategic Corporate Applications. You see, it says that right there. And you open this, And you've got Solitaire Klondike,
All right.
and that's the same old game,
Oh, okay.
basically. But I bring that up for good reason.
I knew there was some reason.
By the way, it's the best solitaire game on the market, because if you look at this moves, the third button down,
Oh, cheat.
it gives you a special tool there.
Oh,
Really,
yeah.
the reason I did that is I want you to see how well OS2 operates as we're doing other things. Now you see Mahjong Solitaire. You can bring up Mahjong. It's another solitaire-like game.
So it's multitasking.
It's multitasking. And more than multitasking, it's multi-threading. For instance, you can have an application that will need to go off and print, and another application could be running. But in an application, you can kick off a new thread to do the print, and you can go off and continue in your word processor or whatever application it is you're running in. Now, we can cause this to autoplay as well if we wanted to, and it would go off and start doing that.
All right. It's thinking. Oh, there's the sound.
Yep.
Sound's
Get
working.
rid of that one real quick.
Sound speakers are working.
Did we surprise you? That wasn't the level we set, was it? By the way, if you want to change the type of game, the appearance of the game, let me just bring that up again real quick, because I want you to see that we've even implemented drag-drop in the game. You drag this style of game off, and it
Oh, that's great.
brings in a totally new game style. Well, that's the fun stuff you can do with
All right.
OS2.
I just want to make sure people know you could do fun stuff.
You
and
can
more.
do fun stuff, but
All right.
I tell you, it is a real workhorse. Let's go out here and look at some of the things.
All right.
For instance, this multimedia viewer, this is new.
All right. Now, these are things that come on this bonus pack,
They
right?
come in the bonus pack. Now, you have to install them separately
All right.
from OS2. You have to go in and install the bonus pack a little bit. Let's go in here and arrange these so that they are very neat. Okay?
All right.
And this is like the old light table, this multimedia viewer. But
Oh, I see. They look like slides.
They look like slides, and you see them. And by the way, you see the man working
Yeah.
there? What he's doing is he's working on resolving those images.
Oh, I see what it is. They'll come up eventually.
And if we double-click on those, it brings up the program. Whoop. Stop loading file. It didn't want to bring up the program. In this case, it brings up the
The
program
WAV
that,
file.
that plays the WAV file.
Oh, that's pretty. It's got a little volume control and everything.
Check our volume there. Just a little trivial type thing. Now, it might be real nice to go in to all those bitmaps that I had in the system. You remember those that we
Right.
looked at earlier? And maybe I want to see those on a light table so that I don't have to bring them each up. I can take a look at them. Well, what I do in OS2 is open a template. Okay, this is the template folder. It's the old sticky pad concept,
Right.
the post-it notes. And what I want to do here is you can do various things here. You can grab a folder, you can drag it, and drop it on the desktop, and that's how you create a new folder.
All right. And these stay here.
They
These
stay
you just
there.
use as
Sure.
templates.
Sure. And I'm
I
dragging...
guess that's why they call them templates.
Good answer. Okay, there's my light table. Okay, so
All right.
this is an empty light table, and it's ready for me to populate it now. So what I want to do is bring up this system folder, and let's take a look out at the drives themselves. Look at the C drive, because those things all live out there in this little directory, and I just happen to know what it is. It's called bitmap.
All right.
And there are all our little bitmaps. Now, if we wanted to take some of those, let's go down here because I have some special bitmaps.
It's still playing solitaire down there,
It's
too.
still playing.
That's the
It's
slowest
busy.
solitaire guy. I mean, I could...
Oh, he's won several times.
Oh,
haven't
has
you
he?
know-
Oh,
there's
it
his-
keeps going.
Yeah,
I
look,
get-
there's his
Oh, I
celebration.
see.
See, he's celebrating.
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Because I'm the fastest solitaire player in the world, I think.
Well, let's take some of these bitmaps and let's add them to the light table. Let's just select a group of those. What we want to do is create a light table reference.
All right.
Okay? And it's going to ask us to do that. And what we want to do is put them in this light table. Okay? And it's going to ask us that one for each one of those.
All right.
And it's going out there and populating
So it's going to put it over on the actual light table then.
in the light table. And it's going to resolve it to a mini icon. So
All right.
very small.
Well, they're asking us, we need to wrap it up. Just we're going to take a quick break. So when this comes back, we'll have this light table populated. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
You're watching the Public Access Channel, a service of Access Houston Cable, where you make television happen.
Vince, that new dummy cam is great.
Yeah, it'll sure give people a whole new outlook on what it's like when you don't wear a safety belt.
I think they'll get the picture.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. In case you just tuned in, like I say every time, this is the American Computer Enthusiast Show. My name's Steve Reeves and I'm the host. And we've got a we got a great show tonight. I don't know why I said pretty good. We've got a great show tonight. We're here with Bill Wyatt from IBM, and we're showing the new IBM OS 2 Warp, brand new, and we're showing all the new fun stuff. But one thing I want to do before we go any further is make sure we do mention our hotline again. I love mentioning that hotline. The phone number is 587-5369, 587-5369, and our email address is ace@macaw.com. And what I did was, actually, as of just 5 minutes before the show, I was checking again. They saw me on the phone out there, calling, checking the hotline message, make sure I got all the new ones. And what I'll do is mention some of them that people have called in and what they want to see in future shows. I'll just mention some so that people know we really do read them and we really do listen to them. We'd like, someone here said they'd like a show discussing connecting to some of the Houston BBSs or bulletin board systems, and maybe have some of the sysops or the people that are in charge of those bulletin board systems on the show to talk about how to get in and what's on them and why people should use bulletin boards and things. One that's actually, another person suggested a show discussing some of the Houston users groups, things like HAL PC, the Houston Area League of PC Users, which is like, if not the biggest, one of the biggest PC user groups in the country, and like HOG, the Houston Area Apple Users Group, and they have. There's a lot of other users groups like AutoCAD users groups, and there's also OS2, and there's all kinds of different everything you'd ever want. There's user groups all over the place, and meetings and things, and where they meet and when they meet. Maybe have some of the representatives from some of those users groups come on the show. Another person would like to talk about low-end and high-end network servers, high-speed printers, AutoCAD 13, and we will have a show on AutoCAD 13, Visual Basic tutorials. As a matter of fact, a lot of people called in they want to see more tutorials on different things, specific shows just on how to use certain software packages. And then another one was differences between different programming languages. And we will have, for sure, a program. Graham's going to do a show on Visual Basic, Visual C++, things like that. So, and there's other ones that people have called in, and but we'll continue. The funny thing was nobody left any questions. It's great. We have no questions, no answers. So, anyways, I guess what we'll do is go right back to Bill here, and we'll continue our talk about OS2 Warp, brand new, 3.0. So why don't you talk about, you're talking about light table.
We were going to put stuff in the light table, and here they are, all the little the slides. They look like slides, but those were the bitmaps that are out there. Now, the neat thing about these particular bitmaps is they all came off the internet. In fact, I went over to Paris through the internet, and I grabbed these pictures from the museum, the Louvre. And I grabbed this from some of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. And this is an overview of the city there, or the lab, the Jet Propulsion Lab. and various things. This is a scene in Paris, but I grabbed those off the internet, and we'll try to look at the internet connection. But if we don't have time to do that, that'd be another good show. Just all the tools that are in the internet connection and how you use it and what the value is.
We're doing a show the first or second week of December. We'll be doing a show specifically on internet.
Great. It's really neat. So let's close that light table, and I have it out there now, and I can use it anytime I want. But let's look at the other stuff that comes with Warp and the bonus pack, because it's very, very powerful. We've got FaxWorks for OS2. You can send and receive faxes, and that's a good tool. Then we have something called IBM Works. And IBM Works is a full set of 32-bit applications designed just for OS2.
I see it's got spreadsheets.
And they all work together. That's right.
Databases.
In fact, let's just make this a little bit larger. You've got a phone and address book. Let's just bring that up. A notepad, a daily planner, a to-do list, a yearly calendar with to-do actions on it, a contact list. Well, let's put me in there, add something to this phone book, because this is a brand new phone book. And what we might do, as we've learned elsewhere in this session, you click with the right mouse button and a menu pops up,
Right.
and you say new. Okay, and so let's add new. Let's say Mr. Bill Wyatt, and let's skip that, IBM, and we can say 3700.
Put your unlisted phone number in there.
Okay, I'll do it, since we're on live television here. And now we might want to add a home address there
Right.
for a person, or we might want to add a phone number. So if we were to add a phone number, we might have several phone numbers, and the numbers of those, a business 1, a business 2, a home phone number 1, and a fax number. Well, let's put a fax number in. 28,
Oh, wait, area code.
no, 113, 282.
You probably aren't used to normally working sideways at a computer.
Sideways,
right?
yeah, that's a little bit of a challenge. I don't have the best eyes anyway. And then you've got a couple of menus that you can totally customize
Right.
any way you want. And there's our new entry. Let's add it. And so you see that that's been added out there.
Right.
And as you get more and more names, these tabs become important. Right now, if I clicked on D, it wouldn't do anything because there's only a single
Right.
entry. But you also might put in, we don't want one of those. Let's say you might want to do this for senator. Is it an EY?
Something like that.
And you say Congress, and give her a phone number out there, and let's make it a fax phone number as well. You get the idea, I'm setting you up here.
Right.
I'm doing this for a reason. And let's just for a new entry, and let's close that. Quit. Okay, so we've got two things there. Now, the other things we can do here are we have documents. We've got a full 32-bit word processor out there. We've got a full 32-bit spreadsheet, a charting tool, a database, a report writer against that database, and a contact list. But wait, there's more. You can open up the templates, and have you ever built a document where you have 90% of the stuff stays the same, but there's 10% you want to change each time?
Right.
So you might want to use that as a template document or a template spreadsheet or a template database or something like that. Well, this capability is built in to the Warp bonus pack. For instance, I could take a fax and drag it down here and drop it on the desktop. Okay. I could also grab here a forecast. Let's do a budget. Let's drag and drop a budget down there and close those templates. And by the way, now I can close this, and let's just go ahead and close it completely. And what I can do here is I can grab this name down here and drop it on the fax,
And it fills it in.
and it fills it in. And if you look at the settings, it has now associated Bill Wyatt with that particular thing.
Oh, that's great.
Okay? And the other thing that it does is it allows me to drag this. Oh, by the way, it opens it. Okay, it opens it so that I can look at the fax. By the way, I can change that in the settings if I don't want it to open, if I don't want to modify it. Now I can drag this fax over here and drop it on the fax machine,
And it prints it out to the fax.
and it sends it electronically across the fax. So you say you have a couple of those that you want to do that to. Oh, it's trying to print it. We better cancel
Right.
it since we don't have anything connected here. Let's grab both of those and drag them and drop them on this fax. And it's going to do both of them.
It's great.
Now we could also,
I like this drag and drop thing.
oh, it's just so productive. Now let's drop it on the printer, and it'll print a copy to each person, and you can drop it in an envelope. Now I'm fairly lazy, and this has eliminated my excuse for not writing letters, because it is so easy to keep a skeleton letter out there and to just drag somebody's address and drop it on that letter and have it pop up, and I fill in the things I need to fill in. It's just incredibly easy.
It's great.
So that was the fax program. There's also a tool called Person to Person, which is a computer-to-computer video conferencing system. For instance, you can have a spreadsheet up and you can circle something on it, and it will go across a modem, across a wire, to my computer where I have the same spreadsheet page up, and it'll circle it for me.
Through normal phone lines.
Through normal phone lines. That's right. That's built in, person to person.
That's great.
Also, we have multimedia tools, and the number of multimedia tools that are in Warp has just gotten phenomenally
This is the fun
bigger.
stuff here.
This is the fun stuff, sure. As a matter of fact, let me go out and let me grab some things. I didn't put these in a media viewer, and I probably should have done that.
We could do a whole show just on fun stuff.
You could do a whole show on multimedia
Cool
and
stuff,
cool
as you call it.
stuff. By the way, notice that name of that file
Is longer than 8
multimedia
characters.
Cool stuff. That's right. It is longer. Sound waves. I can double click on a fanfare.wave and bring that up, and it's going to go off and play that. Now that's not a trivial little file, by the way, and it's all coming off the hard drive. And so it's going to go off and play fanfare. Close that, and we can bring up video clips. By the way, before we do that, we also have flick and fly viewers in OS2 now. Let's arrange that.
Flick and fly.
Flick and fly, for instance, if you wanted to see Marvin. These are created with Autodesk Animator or some other tools. Oh,
Yeah, that is made with Animator,
little
Autodesk Animator.
That's right. Just a little bitty animation. And you can do the audio at the same time you're doing the video. No problem at all. As a matter of fact, let's stop the things that we're doing, and let's bring up one of these video clips.
All right.
Show that one.
And again, everything that we're showing here, this is OS2 Warp straight out of the box.
It's all built in.
No
Now,
add-on.
No add-ons. Now, I did record those.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I recorded that off a...
But I mean, this multimedia viewer and everything else comes with the box, straight out of the box.
That's right. Sure does.
Sounds like a commercial, doesn't it?
You're doing a good job. Here's a little piano. I want you to watch the animation along with the audio.
All right.
You've got ways to record sound waves. You've got a tool here to record video off of a camera using a video card. It stores it on the hard drive. By the way, it stores it so that there's no hardware required to play it back, the video portions. This is software motion video. It's the best in the industry. It's the highest resolution, the best quality.
All right. While we're speaking of multimedia and things, we probably ought to talk about things like CD-ROMs, sound cards, all those kind of things, and so that people know if they already have it, You know, is it going to work, and what kind of things does it support?
Well, as the years have gone on, OS2 and our development team has gotten very aggressive in going out and seeking out other things to add to OS2, other devices to support. And if you go in here to the system setup, I guess the best way to show you the devices that are supported is to go into a selective install and just show you the amount of device support that's out there.
I know there's quite a few printers. I noticed that the
you
printer list got a lot longer than it was on 2.1.
You want to see printers, it's just incredible.
All the new HPs, everything.
All the new HPs.
Epsons. There's a bajillion of them.
There are lots and lots and lots and lots and
How many
lots of
zeros
printers.
does bajillion have, you know?
Too many for me to count.
Okay.
And CD-ROM support. There's lots of CD-ROMs out there. Mitsumis, there's about 5 different Mitsumis, NEX, Panasonics, Philips, just almost everything. And it's not limited to SCSI devices. It used to be limited to SCSI
Right.
devices. Parallel ports are fair game out here now, although you may need to modify the installation diskettes to get it to install, because you need to add the device driver for that particular device if it's not in there. Multimedia device sound support, just lots and lots.
Sound
of
blaster.
5, 6 different sound blasters.
Pro
out there.
audio.
Just everything.
All the standards.
There is lots of support out there, and SCSI adapters.
Future Domain, Adaptec. All the popular ones.
There's scanners to support, and
all the different resolutions in Super VGA.
You bet.
800 by 600, 1024 by 768.
whatever you want.
Mice, the whole 9 yards.
You got it.
Wow.
So that's device support. Now, the other really key thing, and again,
the bad news is we have about 1 minute.
Okay, the other key thing is that you could spend a whole show on this stuff. There is a set of tools for getting on the information highway. Now, there is HyperAccess Lite for just asynchronous communications, normal async communications, and it has menus for all the common tools out there.
All right.
CompuServe, there's a CompuServe Information Manager out there now.
All right.
And for the information superhighway,
Internet.
Like
I said, we're going to do a show. It's either the first or second week of December, specifically on Internet. But
there are all the services. You can go double-click on those. It'll connect you up to CompuServe, and you can download it and do stuff.
All right. We're going to have to wrap it up. We've run out of time. We're going to have to do another show on this.
You bet.
I want to thank Bill for doing the show, Bill Wyatt from IBM, and I want to make sure everybody watches next week when we do a Comdex. What's new at Comdex, all the new fun stuff that's coming out in computing, hardware, software, whatever. I'm Steve Reeves. Stay tuned. We'll see you next week.